Welcome to the first episode of Stage Scoop with Melanie and Emily. Unfortunately, Melanie couldn't be here tonight, so it's just me, but she'll be back next week. First of all, we're thrilled to be taking over as the news video bloggers for Stage Door Dish. We can't wait to bring you all the latest dish about what's going down on the Great White Way. So let's not waste any time. Here are the top stories of this week. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye. This week, a couple of performers announced the dates for their final performances. From Matilda, Tony nominees Bertie Carvel and Lauren Ward announced that they will play their final performances as Miss Trunchbull and Miss Honey, respectively, on September 1st. Reeve Carney announced that he will be leaving his post as Peter Parker in Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark on September 15th, and Sigourney Weaver exited the Broadway production of Vanya and Sonia and Masha and Spike, in which she played Masha, last week. All four of these stars had been in their shows since they opened on Broadway. We will be sad to see them go, but greatly look forward to what the future holds for all of these talented performers. But as exits are announced, so are entrances. This week was filled with big casting news, from a Rent reunion to Little Miss Sunshine getting a family. As a matter of fact, honey, we know this act. Not only is Idina Menzel returning to Broadway in next season's Kitt Yorkey musical, If Then, she will be joined by none other than her former Rent co-star Anthony Rapp. The project also reunites Menzel and Rapp with their Rent director Michael Greif, and will begin previews on March 4th at the Richard Rodgers Theater. The Hoover family just got a little bit bigger. The casting of Stephanie J. Block and Will Chase as the parents of aspiring pageant girl Olive Hoover, to be played by Hannah Rose Nordberg, had already been announced, but this week more casting announcements rounded out the cast of Second Stage Theater's Little Miss Sunshine. Former Mormon Rory O'Malley joins the cast as Olive's Uncle Frank, while Wesley Taylor has been cast as Frank's ex-boyfriend. David Rash will portray Olive's biggest cheerleader, Grandpa Hoover, and Logan Rowland rounds out the family as Olive's brother Dwayne. In addition, Josh Lehman and Jennifer Sanchez will play the hosts of the Little Miss Sunshine pageant. With a book and direction by James Lapine and music and lyrics by William Finn, Little Miss Sunshine will begin previews on October 15th at Second Stage. Even Denzel Washington is getting in on the action on Broadway. It was announced that Washington, along with Diane Carroll, will be returning to Broadway in a revival of A Raisin in the Sun next spring. Washington will portray Walter Lee Younger opposite Carroll as his wife Lena. As their daughters, Anika Noni Rose will portray Benitha Younger, and Sophie Okaneda will make her Broadway debut as Ruth Younger. The last production of A Raisin in the Sun also featured an all-star cast, including Sean Combs, Audra McDonald, and Felicia Rashad. The upcoming production reunites Washington with director Kenny Leon, who also directed him in 2010's Fences, for which Washington won a Tony Award. Performances will begin in March of next year at the Barrymore Theater, and the show will perform a limited run through the month of June. In addition to arrivals and departures, lots of CD news was released this week. We'll have a lot to listen to in the coming months. Broadway Records released When I Grow Up, a collection of precocious Broadway tykes crooning hits from Into the Woods, Next to Normal, Chicago, and Bonnie and Clyde, among many others, filling roles not normally played by children. For example, Annie's littlest orphan Emily Rosenfeld was a perfectly pint-sized version of the drowsy chaperone's Janet Vandegraff, crooning Show Off, and former newsie Matthew Schechter unleashed his inner Mormon, belting Elder Price's signature number, I Believe. The CD is a live recording of a children's cabaret at 54 Below that took place in March, and to celebrate the release of the CD, Broadway Records and 54 Below held an encore concert on July 29th. If these kids are the future of Broadway, we can rest easy knowing that the Great White Way is in good hands. It was announced this week that the cast recording for the off-Broadway revival of cult hit The Last 5 Years will be released on September 24th of this year. The revival, which starred Betsy Wolfe and Adam Cantor as the participants in an ultimately doomed relationship experienced from opposite start points, ran at the Second Stage Theater this spring. But if you need a Last 5 Years fix before September, a cast recording featuring the original off-Broadway cast of Sherry Renee Scott and Norbert Leo Butz was released in 2002. And in our last story of the week, Kristen Chenoweth returned to her wicked roots to playfully chide NYC mayoral candidate Anthony Weiner with a popular parody detailing the steps Weiner should take to be the right kind of popular. Appearing on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, she offered tips to help keep Weiner in the public eye for only good reasons. No matter how many years pass, she'll always be Glinda the Good to us. And that's all for this week. Make sure to tune in next week when we'll have even more Broadway news for you. This has been Stage Scoop with Melanie and Emily for Stage Door Dish, and we'll see you next Monday.